with vinyl, I don't want to get too cliched about this, but it's the whole experience of it. They're a very human size, and they're a very human sort of implement, if you like. For me, the sound of vinyl as well is just warmer. CDs are they're an invention of the laboratory. Yeah, I mean, technically it might not be as perfect, but to these ears, it sounds a lot more involving.
There's just something wonderful about having a record collection. If there was ever a power cut, like across the world or anywhere, you can still play records without electricity, and you can still hear the music coming from. That's eco-friendly. The first record I was conscious of buying was Madness's I Like Driving in My Car, which came out in, I believe, was it 1982, I think? So I'd have been about 7 years old, and I think I must have got it. I've still got the record somewhere. It was second-hand. It must have come from a second-hand shop because it was missing its cover. It just had a normal paper sleeve. But it must have been in a jukebox as well, because the hole in the middle was missing, so it had a big hole. And I'd not seen a record like that before when I was that age. I remember thinking it was part broken, which is why I got it so cheap.
Just as a product of my age, I started buying Beatles singles when I was a kid, like everybody at my age did. And then when punk came round, sort of 13 or 14 years later, I had a belated second childhood, and that changed me, changed my life, changed everything about what I do. That's why I'm sat here today.
Hip-hop, Prince, Jimi Hendrix, dance music when that all started eventually. But prior to that, I was sort of getting into hip-hop, and if the dance music scene hadn't have happened, I probably would have stuck with hip-hop, I think. There was a lot of creativity and skill going on in that sort of genre. But yeah, big Prince fan now. That was, my dad bought Purple Rain in 1984 when it got released, and it was like, wow. It was like, felt like modern day Jimi Hendrix, but had more appeal to me. Jimi Hendrix sounded a little bit old fashioned to me when I was a kid, and Prince didn't sound so old fashioned. It had synthesizers in it and stuff. It sounded quite modern.
There's just so much out there. You know, I play a lot of reggae stuff. I play a lot of drum and bass stuff. All sorts. As long as it's not mediocre.
In some instances, I've had to wait 23 years to get a record, which I've heard and I know the name of, but just not physically been able to get it. Once you get it, it's like, you know, you want to high-five the sun. It's just like fantastic. It's like whenever you're feeling a bit like pissed off or something, you're like, oh, I've got the Prince Black album on white vinyl, and it's like, yeah, you know, I didn't think I'd ever get that sort of thing, and then it can cheer you up like that. It's just the memory as well that's attached to each individual item. Often back in the day, you would go to a shop to buy it. You would know the person in the shop. They may have told you a bit about that record, and if it was a picture disc, there was always more buzz about it because it was meant to be a bit rarer. It certainly looked cooler. This is the 12-inch picture disc to Madonna's Erotica single. About a week or so before the release of the picture disc, Sarah Ferguson was photographed sucking someone's toe while she was on holiday, and this picture disc had already been put through the press, and the picture agreed what to use, which also features Madonna sucking someone's toe. And so the music industry or the record presses, whoever was in charge of it, thought they would get in trouble, and they all got ordered to be destroyed. And there's a rumour that 138 of them survived, and this is meant to be one of the 138.
Well, initially, when the sort of the rise started happening, yeah, we did see quite a few people that it was like a fashion statement for them. Oh, it's retro and it's vinyl, so yeah, that's cool, sort of thing. But I think those people have all been weeded out now, and most of the people we see are pretty genuinely into their music. So I think most of the people that are into it now will remain into it.
I think the resurgence is good because I think it keeps it current and in people's minds, and I think that can only be a good thing. And maybe people are looking to like the history of how things were done before digital took over or tried to take over.
In the 90s and the 2000s, if you stuck rigidly to vinyl, you were at least partially disadvantaged by not being able to buy certain titles. But now, that's not really the case. In fact, in some ways, it's changed completely. There's a lot of titles now that come out on vinyl, but don't come out on CD.
And the supermarkets are jumping on the bandwagon now. You've got to be cool to be a record shop, yeah? You've got to be like, you've got to have a bit about you. And Sainsbury's and supermarkets are too like cooperation and corporate to like have that sort of coolness about them.
They're parasites, like most big record labels. You know, I mean, for me, music belongs to the people that make it and the people that consume it. And record companies just sort of put themselves into the middle of that. And, you know, bands should be putting out their own music and putting out their own records. Those are always the best bands. So yeah, I mean, Sainsbury's, well, they can do what they like without the buy a leaf from me, and they're not going to take any notice of people like me anyway. I don't care what they do, really. It's got nothing to do with music for me. It's got nothing to do with music for them. It's product for them, and that's exactly the opposite of my attitude to music.
It's like when HMV started selling Snickers. It was like, why is this? This, you know, this is a record shop. I've come in here to buy records and music, not chocolate bars and cans of Coke. And that's when HMV started going down the pan. I guess Sainsbury's have tried to swap that around by saying, look, not only do we sell a joint of meat and socks for your child, we've got a limited edition press of a Madonna record, which I did buy. Yes, I did buy, just in case it did go up in value. Currently sitting at about the same price I paid for it. But it was still a limited press. But that won't have any effect anywhere in the long run, I don't think. So, unfortunately, that will never work for the supermarkets. I still play vinyl out. It's considered much more of a always playing vinyl tonight, and to the point of you get people come up at the end of the night and shake your hand, not because they thought the set you did was really good, but just for the fact that you're playing vinyl, which if you'd have said that to me 15 years ago, I'd have been like, yeah, all right, whatever. It's Friday night, we're outside Toast. I'm about to go in a minute and play a 4-hour vinyl set. I'm going to be covering sort of genres of house music, hip hop, a bit of D&B, some jungle. Really looking forward to it despite the weather. It's going to be a good one. I enjoy it because I get something out of it as well, and that is hearing my records played on a really good sound system. Just love playing vinyl still. This Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles press, 7-inch press. It's twice the thickness of a normal 7-inch to get the liquid in it with the turtles. You can see one floating around there. This is quite new. This came out a couple of years ago on the grand scale of record collecting. That's like yesterday. 50 of these in the world only. You got 3 masks, turtle masks with the sleeve and a poster, and they sold out in minutes. Cheech and Chong, Up in Smoke, another American import. The Americans sometimes they still get the best stuff, some of the best records, and that annoys the hell out of me because it just makes them. It doesn't mean I can't get them. It just makes them more difficult to get over here. Yeah, that's pretty cool though. I've always been a sort of fan of Cheech and Chong, and I certainly never had a record in that shape. Scratch and Sniff Snicker there. Smells like incense at an incense shop. Very nice though. This one's a 10-inch. It looks like, I won't even open it, but it looks like the image is on the vinyl, but it isn't. It's actually see-through vinyl, and that image is just on the card in the background. Purchased from Music Nostalgia and Truro, wicked shop.
To me, this is all about music. I mean, I earn a living from it, but that's not always the most important thing.
With this, there is no end. But you sort of tell yourself that when I've got that amount of Prince records, I'll be happy then. But then you get them and you're like, I didn't realise that this one also came out in an alternate green cover, and that just starts the whole process off again.